Okay, I'm going to speak on the finances, or how we're going to finance the Africa Agency. That's always a difficult thing when it comes to doing projects and rolling out projects, is how we're going to do it. France said we don't have a lot of money available. Let me tell you the truth, we've got no money available at the moment as we stand here. But God, yeah, Prince, but we trust God that as we take responsibility on projects, that He will send us the finance for this project. Being involved in the Institute for many years, we also didn't have finances, but God miraculously just supplies every time. And I think that this is what we need to do, is walk by faith. So what we've looked at the nations in Africa, not all of them. This is only the first 20 nations or the largest nations in Africa. And we can see that Nigeria is one of the largest nation in Africa. And the way that we looked at it is saying that if we look at the nations, that if we take responsibility as the by community, as we heard yesterday, someone said there at the agency that we must push on and push through. And that is what we're going to need. We're going to need people that is going to take responsibility in their village, see what the problem is in that village, see what the project needs to be launched to solve that problem, do a business plan, just not an in detail business plan, just headings with budgets next to it, then come and present that budget plan to the representative nation and see what percentage they can contribute to the project, and the rest that is outstanding, then we're going to have to see how we're going to raise it. Now we also want to come to a point, as where Uncle Bassie is, that when there's a project needed, that the United Nations or whoever funds the project, that they will not do a project without him being involved. We would like to come to that point where they would say that if the Africa Agency is not involved, that the project won't be funded. But to get there, we need track record. We all know if you go to the bank, that's the first thing they look at, track record. So this is where we started, looking at the different nations and see, how we would roll it out. We've been now in Kenya. We've launched the Africa Agency there. They immediately took hold of the concept, and they're busy forming a committee that is going to represent Kenya, and then from there, that committee will roll it out to the different villages. As we went to them, they would go to the villages and explain to them how it's going to work and how the financing is going to work. So what we did is, we looked at the population of a nation, and we said, right, if 1 out of 1,000 people is a Christian, only 1 out of 1,000, then if we take the total African population, that is 1.2 billion, and we estimated then 1 out of 100 So we took 1 out of 100 of the 1.2, gives you, say, 650 million. Now, if the total contributions made per the figures that we saw on top, and we multiply it by each Christian that is really involved and saying we can uplift this community, in Africa, in the different nations, we can start off with, say, $6.5 million. And it is not a lot of money. To pay $10 per year for being part of the African agency, we can start off with a base, because you're going to need capital to run your offices, to go out to different villages, before you can even start a project. So your ground capital, or your starting off capital, will be basically funded by the members that you can raise in each one of the different countries that you are involved in. So this is why I enjoyed what, I can't remember who said it at the Jewish agency yesterday, is by pushing through and pushing on. If we're going to sit and say, okay, this is all good and nice ideas, and nobody does anything, it's not going to work. It is time for the African people to rise up and solve their own problems. I mean, Shagan said it, France mentioned it. The time that we rely on politicians to solve the problems, those days are gone. All they solve is how to get the money into their pockets. That's what they solve, that problem. It is for us to solve the problems on the ground. So, if there's any other questions, I believe, Shagan, are we going to have a question and answer time or not? Okay. All right. Thank you very much.